I want to start this hour, and whilst it has obviously been spoken about ad nauseum this week, it is important that we address it on our program, and that being the Sydney Swans Pullman Hotel scandal, what is arguably turning out to be the biggest story to rock the AFL in over a decade. Now, let me preface this by saying it is still a police investigation, so let's put those allegations, those serious allegations of sexual assault to one side for a moment. I want to be unequivocal, though, that even before those disturbing allegations, the behaviour of the 5 players for mine, the behaviour of those involved is both boorish and totally unacceptable of a professional athlete. This is on a work trip, booked and paid for by the AFL and the Sydney Football Club. Now, for the 5 players to be having adult entertainers in their room at 5 o'clock in the morning amongst the reported presence of illicit substances, including cocaine, is enough for me for the Sydney Swans to say your time at this football club is done. Not just for this season, but full stop. I would have no issue with the Sydney Swans sending the message to the club and its supporters that this is inappropriate conduct when you're representing the red and white on the road. Keen for you to weigh in, 133 693. Again, the serious allegations of sexual assault we put to the side as it's a police investigation. But Brad, Laura, Matthew, I'm keen to get your view. I believe those 5 players will play again, but given the behaviour, I don't think they should be playing at the Sydney Swans again.
Well, I think they will play again. I mean, at this stage, with what we know, and we've got to wait, as you said, with the allegations, but just on what we do know, being up at 5 a.m. when you've got finals a few weeks away and as you say, adult entertainment in your room. I mean, I think Sydney were right to act quickly and I think suspend them. I'm not sure that some of them won't still be playing at Sydney, though. I'm sure not all of them will be, and there will be some moves made there. But I wouldn't be certain that none of them will play for Sydney.
Yeah, I think it's a bit tricky before the police investigation is finalised because I think
it's hard to comment when you don't know the outcome yet.
Well, the police investigation, if it does end up with a charge and goes to court,
well, that plays out.
That changes everything.
That pretty much changes everything. But if we're going to leave that alone and look at the behaviour of them themselves, I mean, I think there's no doubt that we'll get to the trade period and some of, if not all of those names, will be in conversation. The thing that kind of irks me about it, and we've seen this before, I've seen this show before, where this is what happens. There's someone who falls into disrepute playing football for whatever reason it might be. They take a break from the game and then inevitably someone comes back and picks them up 12 months later. So we kind of take this hardline stance and go, I don't think you should play football again. So go and spend 12 months have a good hard look at yourself, do some education, and then they come back.
But are you saying they shouldn't come back?
Well, I'm just saying...
You can't be banned for life, can you, for that?
Well, clearly I don't think you can be banned for life.
For the mistake that we're talking about.
The behaviour codes that they've breached, which we can say they have in terms of the codes of behaviour that the AFL upholds. But I think that's the thing. Like we spend now talking about it, you know, inevitably a player like Isaac Heaney would be so valuable somewhere. We still don't know his exact role in all of this and whether or not the police investigation...
but I think, again, putting the assault to the side...
Okay, if I put that to the side, I can't see him not playing football again.
I can see because I don't believe that he should be playing for the Sydney Swans again.
I think
as a club...
We're talking about what we can absolutely know is that they're out drinking and they're up at 5 a.m. And as you said, with the entertainment in the room, they're being punished for that. They won't be playing finals.
But they'll get another chance.
They'll all play football again.
But you think that's okay?
I think they should have the opportunity to play football again. They've been punished, and whether that goes into next season, I don't know.
But I don't believe it should be at Sydney.
As I just said, I don't know that all of them will get moved on, but some of them will.
So if you're, and this is what I mean, like if you're a fan of another club, and this is why this has to be handled so delicately, this is the kind of thing that can be divisive because you might say, oh, would you be happy to have Isaac Heaney at the Bulldogs? How would you feel about that? Well, there's no questioning what kind of player.
Well, I was at Richmond when Ben Cousins had the opportunity to come back, and it was put to the playing group. How long was Ben out for? 18 months, a couple of years?
At least a minimum of 13.
It was put to the playing group before it was made public.
It should be.
And this is what will happen with these guys. it was put to us, would you like to play with Ben Cousins? And it was pretty unanimous that everyone wanted Ben to come and play.
And was that because he was such a great player? Or was that because you thought he deserved another chance?
Well,
what was the reason?
It was both. It was he's a champion player.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Ultimately, I think...
And I think everyone agreed that he deserved a chance at retribution and a second chance at
if you are a good
and playing.
footballer, you get another chance.
But I don't think, and again, I preface this by saying we are putting the allegations of sexual assault to the side because that's a police investigation. We're going on what the Sydney Swans investigation has been, what the reporting through multiple outlets has been. And I think based on that, the media reporting of the boorish behaviour, having...
But the thing is, you say reporting, but that's not in dispute.
No, so therefore...
There's no dispute
but
about...
that is separate to the sexual assault allegations.
It is, but there's no...
So
I mean, I know we need to be careful, but the reality is...
Do you think they'll all play football again?
Yes, I do.
But none of them at Sydney. I'm saying I'm not sure that all of them will leave Sydney.
As an employer, the Sydney Swans should not allow them to be there for that behaviour. The fact of the matter is, if I was in a hotel room, paid for by 3AW, and I'm on an interstate trip calling football, and I go back to that room, and there are illicit substances in that room, I'm not saying I'm using, but if there are illicit substances being used in that room, and I have strippers back at 5 o'clock in the morning, 3AW aren't employing me on the Monday, I'll tell you that much.
No, that's true, but this is why I don't have complete faith in this whole thing, because... We've seen this before where everyone's talked about, they've suspended them for the rest of the season. Yeah, that's fine, but it took 48 hours of absolute outrage for them to actually take a hardline stance on this, for the AFL to actually come out and say...
Don't they have to...
Yeah, I think they were trying to assemble
get
knowledge.
the story right before they...
I still think early days, it wouldn't have been difficult for them to get up and say...
On the day one,
Yep.
when they don't have all the facts.
To say, we just want to reiterate that as a club, we have the highest standards of behaviour for our players. We don't condone any sort of disrespect or violence against women. That doesn't implicate anyone. That just states a fact of what your standards are as an organisation. I think I'd just have more faith if I hadn't seen this sort of bad boy type of crap behaviour before, where footballers just get chances and they just do. No offence, Richard. I know you play, but they just do.
I'm just getting a bit
chances.
confused as to Shane's original question as to what I was asked if they would play again. Now, if we're talking about the actual allegations
No, we're not.
I'm putting the allegations.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying either way they've behaved badly, and because they're footballers and they're good at football, someone else will employ them for a lot of money.
But I don't have an issue with them being re-employed somewhere else. Again, if I got sacked by 3AW,
to be clear, that was what I was answering.
I would hope that I would,
I think they'd get the
make a
opportunity
mistake
somewhere else,
and that you get an opportunity somewhere else. I don't mind if you've made a mistake, you get an opportunity somewhere else, and I have no doubt that they will. But I think there has to be repercussions from their current employer to say this isn't on, and we need to break this up.
I wonder whether, and I know you said the playing group was consulted about Ben Cousins. I wonder whether in this instance it would extend to the AFLW group, because I feel differently about it, perhaps to the rest of you. I think
as far as playing again,
as far as employing somebody,
they should never play.
Who'd been let go by their club. As far as employing someone who'd been let go by their club for this type of behaviour.
But again, I putting the
this is where I'm concerned about where this is going. What are we actually talking about here?
See, in my mind,
but there's still been bad behaviour.
Yeah, I know. And I said I think that they should have been stood down like they have been, but I would think they will still play football again at some stage, whether that's next year or 12 months down the track.
And that is purely based on their behaviour.
Purely based on being out drinking and having
adult entertainers back in a room where there were illicit substances.
Not good enough. And they should have been stood down immediately and called out for it.
I just think there's different sets of rules for footballers.
That's fair enough. That's
what we'll see.
It's an opinion game, Brad.
That's what we'll see.
I think there's it take each one on its, for want of a better term, lack of merit. Really, I mean they've absolutely stuffed up 100%. There's no one's in that going to denounce that. That is for sure. But I'm just not sure where the Sydney Swans sit on this. As Laura said, they took them 48 hours. I think they were gathering evidence, obviously, of what they could do, as much as they could do, seek counsel from their players, the AFLW and the men because they have to get it right. And maybe they just took a little bit too long to gather that information. But You'd rather be guilty of that than going off
They
half
should have
cocked.
absolutely been stood down like they have.
We don't have it in the AFL.
For their behaviour, and it's not acceptable. But your question was, will they play again? I think they will at some stage.
And that is why I've prefaced it in that manner. And from a legality point of view, and again, I'm happy to take a few calls here, but I'm going to preface this again. We are putting any of the allegations of sexual assault to the side because they are being investigated by police. Obviously, there is a lot of rumour and speculation as to what has transpired. A lot of it is of a very serious and heinous nature, but I'm going based on the evidence that we have at the moment. And again, I know it can be uncomfortable to talk about, but it is a fairly pertinent issue as well. Hi, Charlie.
Hi. I just want to say that I completely agree. If I was on a work trip and I had strippers and cocaine or drugs and things like that on a work trip, I would be fired. Just like if when Gaff punched Brayshaw and broke his jaw and he got 10 weeks. If I did that in the workplace, if I got up in the boardroom and I punched someone, I would be walked out there that day, right? Now, these AFL footballers, they just get a slap on the wrist and then they get, to another club or play another football team or whatever. I completely agree with you. And the saddest thing about the whole thing is the members are the ones who have done nothing wrong and they suffer. You know, some of these members have paid their membership fees for 20, 30, 40 years. They had a chance of winning a premiership and that they're the ones who miss out on all of this.
Charlie, thank you. Hi, Siv.
G'day. Look, I'm a bit with that, a little bit there with that previous call. I was just thinking about this. I imagine that in the real world, if you're going to go for another position, say, I imagine potential companies are going to look carefully at your past and your behaviour. So
they would in every other industry.
What I would ask is, would any footy club do the same sort of thing as well and go, do we want these people because of things like this?
Well, that's going to be up to a club to
But
do.
this is my point. If you are that good at football, you're just desired because you might help a certain club win and they'll recruit you.
I would say, though, and I'm not rejecting what you're saying, is that if someone is an excellent CEO, if someone is excellent in a white-collar job and they do something wrong at one business, they can be picked up by another. I don't think it's just I don't think it's just football where you can do something bad and get another job in a similar position.
I think there's levels of bad, and I think being under the influence, having entertainment to your room on a work trip, I think there's levels of bad.
So you think that precludes you?
They wouldn't work again.
Well, they're professional athletes. I mean, part of their contract is to keep their bodies in the best possible physical condition. We don't have those clauses with our work, and they're doing that. I mean, what?
They've been stood down, though.
But you'd have to prove that you've got self-control, wouldn't you?
Yeah, every club thinks they have the ability to turn
That's what I mean.
around.
Everyone thinks they can turn someone around, which means they will get another chance.
It's going to be their call, the club's call.
Mark, good afternoon.
G'day. If you work for a big corporate multinational and this happened, you would not be allowed to be employed by the same company and move to another interstate office. These guys work for AFL. Same scenario, no difference.
I would say the contract is with the club specifically. So again, that would be on Sydney's decision. Now, yes, the AFL could bar them from being recruited from another club, but unless there is some form of criminality, which I admit I've put to the side in this instance, again, for legal reasons, I think that changes things. Hi, Stephen.
Oh, hi. Listen, I'm a father of daughters. Good people make bad decisions. And these young blokes, if they did it all the time, I'm pretty sure it's their first time some of these young guys have done it. I think people need to realise and keep in the back of their mind, everyone in every part of society, good people make bad decisions. These young guys, regardless of their professional footballers, regardless of what they are, they've made a bad decision. So do we condemn them? We forgive other people in life to do some of the most hideous crimes that are going around here. What these guys have done is disgusting and no respect towards women. Being a father of girls, I think, is disgusting. But they've made a bad decision.
I think there's another tact, and I'm not skipping away from it, but the AFL need to act here. They have to tighten up the drug policy, 100%, because if you go and work in first
You can be
responders.
hair tested twice a year, though, at any time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there has to be motivation by fear when it comes to drugs, because it's the scourge of society.
You can be tested any time.
I agree. But the thing is, what I'm saying is the players agree to it. You know, the secondary, what do they call recreational, which is the worst word in the world, of course. But what I'm saying is, Matty, if you go and work on a mine site, if you are a first responder or you're a police, fire brigade, etc., you can't turn up. You turn up with any element of anything, substance in your body, you're out.
Yeah.
They need the same. Simple as that. That's the only way we're going to get on top of it. And if you want to, everybody's got a sacrifice in their life. If they don't want to sacrifice that, if they want to be party boys, or party girls,
do
or whatever,
something else.
Go and do something else. Go and drive a forklift. Go and pack boxes.
Don't drive a forklift if you're going to.
No, exactly. But you know what I mean. Go and find another vocation. It's simple as that for me. It's never been in my wheelhouse. I'm not getting high and mighty, but I'm just saying that's the only way to stamp it out.
Brad, well said. Michael, before we get to the break.
Okay, guys. I wholeheartedly agree with Laura and Brad. So why are there different rules for footballers? This is the broader issue, I think.
So, Richard, I can see that statement or what I said kind of frustrates you a bit. And I want to hear what you want to say.
We were sort of answering a question here about what we knew, and I feel like it's clouded. The lines have been blurred, and your answer's going to be taken the wrong way.
Yep.
They have been stood down for being out late, drunk, and doing what was happening in the room,
correct.
Right?
Yes, that's what they've
been stood down for that. So the question was, would they be able to play again after that has happened? I think at some stage, yes. So they've made horrendous decisions, and they've been stood down for them, rightly so. I was answering to that very specific question from you.
No, 100%. And I'm wholeheartedly, we can rewind.
I think it's a bit blurred after that, right? And then you can be taken the wrong way, and that's why...
I think the flow on for me was that I just believe that will be the case because if you're good at football, you get more chances. And the thing is, extension to Michael's point, there are different standards for footballers, I think, but it goes both ways. I mean, you're held on this pedestal. You're held to a degree of scrutiny that the rest of us aren't, and that's the tough part of the equation that comes with being a professional athlete in this game in which you're so revered. And, you want to try and go out maybe and you can't go out by yourself. So there is a part to being that is difficult. But, I still think it goes the other way in the sense that they're sort of afforded more.
I think the door's still ajar for further sanctions if the allegations are
100%.
Proven
100%.
correct.
We're not,
and no one's saying otherwise.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not answering to that.
Just very quickly, I'd argue the AFL's missed the mark here too. I didn't think the statement from Andrew Dillon was enough on Tuesday. Again, putting the sexual assault allegations to the side, it is a police matter. The CEO of the AFL had to come out this week and send a message to every player in the AFL competition to say that when you have a responsibility, when you represent your club, to uphold professionalism at all times. When you are on the road, these are the standards we expect you to keep.
That's where they've got bringing the game into disrepute.
But why did not Andrew Dillon, as the CEO of the AFL, come out this week? He didn't have to engage in the legalities of it. Come out and say, here is your first and final warning that if you are going to misbehave and have adult entertainers back to your room at 5 o'clock, well, you are risking not only your current contract, but you are risking your future and your career in this competition. And I thought that was soft from the AFL.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. And what my other point here is that as men, you have to call out toxic behaviour if you see it. And I said it the other morning on Sunrise. But when you first put that to us, that wasn't the question. It was just about whether they would play again from what we absolutely know to be 100%.
You're a